Smarterfan. Smarterfan. Yeah. Smarterfan.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another segment of Smarterfan Podcast, where we bring you behind the veil of sports business and life. I'm Joe, and this is Barry. How you doing, Barry?
I'm doing awesome. How you feeling, my friend? How you feeling?
I'm feeling fine. The Daytona 500 is right around the corner to kick off the NASCAR season for 2024. And NASCAR lost an icon earlier this year. One William Caleb Yarborough. Everybody knows him as Cale Yarborough.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And he basically started his career in the 60s. He drove for a number of drive owners, and he won his first race at Valdosta Speedway in Georgia. And he then won two races for the Wood Brothers at the Atlanta 500 and the Firecracker 400. And at that time, he also ran Indy. He ran in the Indy 500 in 66 and 67. A couple of drivers did that, like Andretti. He ran NASCAR and Indy, and AJ Foyt did the same thing. Also, Janet Guthrie did that. He won his first Daytona 500 and the Firecracker 467. He became the second driver in history to sweep both Daytona events. And so he was they said he was a very gritty driver. He won 6 races that year, and he won the first race at Michigan International Speedway, and that closed out the 60s for him, and the 70s and 80s. He ran Indy in 71 and 72 also. And in 76, he won 9 races, and he won his first Winston Cup. But 77 was the best. That was the best year of his career, as he won 9 races and finished in the top 6 during the last 14 races, and he finished every race that year, which is like almost impossible to do, in this day and age. And 79 was highlighted at the Daytona 500 when Yarborough and Donnie Allison were on the last lap, and they were battling it out, and they both wrecked. They came down into the infield, and they started a fight. And, as the fight ensued, while he was fighting both of the Allison brothers, Richard Petty held off Darrell Waltrip and won the race. But he's only one of, hey, that's how it goes, So he's one of 2 drivers to win 3 consecutive championships in 76, 77, and 78. And his 83 wins tie him with Jimmy Johnson for 6th on the all-time NASCAR Cup Series list. He won 4 Daytona 500 in 68, 60, 77, and 83. And his final season was 88. And unfortunately, he passed away on New Year's Eve at the age of 84. So that's my little thing on NASCAR. So what's on your mind?
Nick Saban has retired. This is big news. This is huge. This is gigantic. People really don't realize this is like the drawing of the line in the sand, meaning the old is out, the new has begun. And what I mean is I never knew Nick Saban was actually at Alabama for 17 years. That's a long
Oh
time
yeah, yeah,
at a
yeah.
very high level, at a very high level. And so, as someone said to me, "Well, what do you really mean?" I said, "The portal, the money, the free agency. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's a new day." And he realized in order to compete, in order to embrace this new era of college football, it would be best for him to step aside because he has nothing
Mm-hmm.
else to prove. He has
No.
nothing else to prove. And he's won pretty much everywhere he's gone. And so as someone says, "Well, what do you think is going to happen?" Oh, now becomes who becomes the heir apparent. And I'm going to tell you who's the heir apparent. Coach Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Prime in Colorado is the heir apparent. I don't care who they hire at Alabama. It's a new era. And 99% of these coaches don't realize it's a new era. I'll give you a statistic
Mm.
because you always beat me on statistics, Joe. You always beat me on statistics. The How does a 4-8 Colorado team become more relevant than a national champion? That becomes more relevant, gets more eyeballs than the LSU's, the Alabamas, the Georgias. How does that happen? How? Because you have a
Hmm.
master conductor in Coach Prime who understands how to marry the player, the recruiting. He can tell the story. He's engaging. He can pull and carbonize people. I'm telling you, these college coaches think they're gonna get these top jobs by just coaching are sadly mistaken. These college presidents and trustees are looking at the numbers, my friend. They're looking at the numbers that Colorado did and going, how do you sell out a spring game? How do you sell out a regular season? How do you have all this media and celebrity? They're looking for coaches to be able to do that as well. I'm telling you, oh my goodness. And those coaches that don't adapt won't be relevant.
Mm-hmm.
I would go as far as to say that probably played into a large part of Coach Harbaugh leaving Michigan. He had nothing else to prove. He did something that will land him in Michigan lore forever. Come back to the pro
Mm-hmm.
game and see if he can get it done over there. I'm telling you, it, it it's a new day. It's a new day. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. I'm not gonna hog up all the time. Go ahead, Joe. Let me throw it back to you.
uh,
I'm so excited tonight.
well, speaking of football, the NFL's there's been some shakeups in the NFL. Well, we knew this was coming. Riverboat Ron is out, and Josh
Yeah.
Harris, he hired Bob Myers, who was the architect of the Warriors championship runs. He's gonna run the franchise along with Rick Spielman, who used to be with the Vikings, and Magic
Okay.
is going to be part of. Yeah, Magic is going to be part of a committee to determine the team's next head coach and head of football operations. So, and
Okay.
they've also been asking to. They requested interviews with Brown's assistant GM Glenn Cook, and they also asked to talk to Mike Borgonzi. So, but the thing is, what's going to become of Bieniemy in all of this? You know, because he should
He's
get that
gonna
job.
land on it. He's gonna land on his feet.
Yeah. So,
He may.
and yeah, well, yeah, he probably will, but he should get that job. He should get that job. You know, so, but and we got Mike Vrabel, he's gone. Belichick and New England
Yeah.
parted ways. So, So there's
Mm-hmm.
a whole lot of stuff going on, and there's going to be a whole lot of shuffling going on. You know, now the playoff picture is
Yeah.
going to be interesting because now you're going to have the Browns are going to play the Texans. So now you're going to have a 38-year-old veteran against this rookie phenom, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ravens, they're sitting in there. They got the bye because they had the best record. The Dolphins are going to face the Chiefs, and they're going to be playing, as they're saying, in -6-degree weather. So that's going to be
Sweet
interesting to see.
Jesus. Mm.
Oh yeah, that's going to be interesting, you know. And the Cowboys, they're
Mm-hmm.
home against the Packers. I'll give them a 50-50 shot, you know. And but
You're better than me.
and the Bills are going to play the Steelers, and the Steelers are going to be without TJ Watt. Uh, and then you got
Okay.
this is going to be interesting. You got the Rams at Detroit. So now you got Goff going against his old team and Stafford going against his old team. So that could be
Yeah,
interesting.
that's drama TV right there.
Oh, you know it,
Absolutely. That's gonna be drama. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they got
Mm-hmm.
Philly at Tampa, and Philly they're coming in losing 5 out of their last 6. So that's gonna be that's good. And Hurts is hurt, Baker's hurt. So
Mm.
what are we doing? That's gonna be interesting. But then you got Pete Carroll who stepped down,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and but he's gonna stay on
Mm-hmm.
as an advisor. You know, so he had a
Mm-hmm.
14-year run himself. You know, as the head coach of the Hawks,
It's awesome.
and he's the winningest coach for that organization. You know, and he compiled a
Oh yeah.
137 and 81 and
Absolutely.
1 record. You know, so
Yeah. Yeah.
so he's gonna be. People say he might coach somewhere else, but it's hard to say at this point. So, but that's all that's been going on. It's been a
Yeah.
crazy week. So what else is on your mind?
Well, I have something that I want to talk about that kind of falls into each other. I keep trying to tell people that the NIL is nice and it's good and all that great stuff, but it is a lot of complexity to it, and they're still not talking about the real money, which is the TV money that the players should
Mm,
get some of, and the concession money, and the parking money, and the merch money. All that money, because that is the money that should be the baseline for all the players, right?
mm-hmm,
And the NIL should go on top for those players who can get it, right? Not all those players are going to get it, right?
mm,
But you try to tell a quarterback that his offensive line ain't important, he'll tell you you're crazy because if they don't block, I get killed, right? But a lot of
mm,
those offensive
mm,
linemen are not necessarily, not to say some aren't, but not necessarily marketable in the NIL space unless they do something like Washington, the University of Washington does, right? So again, I said to this group of guys, people I was talking to, that's the money they need to talk about that's not being talked about. And that's a problem. And then this beautiful article, I'm still trying to confirm um, if it's actually the case, but I think it is because you're hearing a lot of players who are planning to jump ship who then retract. And why are they retracting is because they got a bigger bag, right? And I'll give you an
mm,
example. There's been all this ballyhoo about Marvin Harrison Jr. at Ohio State leaving, rightfully so,
mm,
to the NFL.
mm-hmm.
Now there's an article out there that they came up with 20 million to keep him another year, right?
Oh,
So this is
oh,
another part of what plays into, yes, that plays into another option for players, which I think is a great thing, right? But
yeah,
again, I said to the person, Where do you think that $20 million came from?" That's TV money, concessions money, parking money. And so those elite athletes like Marvin Harrison Jr. will get the opportunity to make that kind of money to stay another year, buy an insurance policy to protect them in case they get injured, to protect their future, because anything can happen, right?
Mm.
But that is another layer of the bag that Coach Prime is trying to help people to understand. And so what happened to Coach Prime, they had DJ Lundy, a linebacker from Florida State,
Mm.
who decided to leave and then retracted. Well, he retracted because
Mm.
they came up with a bigger bag and said, "Hey, don't transfer. We'll sweeten that pot for you." And he said, "All
Mm.
right, because we don't, you don't know what's going to happen with Florida State, next year." And so they probably gave everybody a little bit of their taste to keep the team together. Since they went
Yeah.
12-0,
Mm.
right?
Mm. Yeah.
So
And didn't make the bowl.
these are the these are the layers of things that are impacting college football. I mean, it's free agency, and it really educate themselves on how to navigate this landscape because and what's good for you. And I love it, all of it, because sometimes it's good for a lot of these athletes to stay. Some need to go. Some need to take a bigger bag and stay. Some need to stay until and make as much bag as they can get. But there's going to need
Mm.
to be insight and understanding of how to play this new game, which is going to impact the NFL, right? And the other league that's coming online, where, so there's going to be a lot of moving parts, and it's going to require a level of sophistication and understanding so that these young people can get the most. And what I said in conclusion to the group was, isn't it strange that you don't hear anything from the NCAA about academic eligibility or
Yeah.
affording these athletes more academic eligibility? And they've sold that line since their inception of
Mm.
amateurism, and they haven't come to the table with anything. And again, in my humble opinion, it just speaks to the eventual demise of the NCAA as it's structured now, because it's just becoming
Mm.
more and more and more irrelevant. Why do I need them? They're not coming up with anything that's benefiting the athlete. And back to you, Joe.
Okay. I'm going to talk about an upstart league called the Professional Women's Hockey League. Okay. Um,
Yeah.
the league,
Mm-hmm.
they replaced the Premier Hockey Federation. In They were put together, the league consists of 6 teams, 3 American and 3 Canadian teams: Boston, New York, Minnesota, Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto. And they played their first game on January 1st. With New York beating Toronto, and it attracted 2.9 million viewers. So
Wow.
that's a good start, you know. And
It's a
the
great
inaugural
start.
season's, it's going to have 24 regular season games, starting from January through late May or early June, and
Mm-hmm.
then they're gonna have a break for the Women's World Championship, you know. But this is the interesting part: the league and all 6 teams are owned by the Mark Walter Group. So he's
Okay.
part owner of that. They're part owners of the Dodgers. So and there is a players
Okay.
union, and the New
Mm-hmm.
York's going to play their home games. They're going to split their home games between Bridgeport and USB Arena in Long Island, where the Islanders play. Um, so it's going to be interesting to see how this works out, because how like the WNBA is backed by
Mm.
the NBA. Well, they're basically independent.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be very, very interesting to see how this works out in the long run, and how popular it will be. So, but yeah, hey, I got to give my props to the women, because this is something good for them, you know, because they showed out better than the men in the Olympics. The back in the Winter Olympics, couple of years back, they showed out better than the men,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So and they're gritty. So
Yeah. No, I think in wrapping up, I want to give you a perspective. Sports all sports are on a 24/7 news cycle. Let's talk about the money. That's why I like to talk about the money. On a 24/7 news cycle. So you have all these subgroups in these sports who have fan bases who you can sell product to. So the history of sport and product are from the inception. Actually, it's product who created sport, not the other way around.
yeah,
It's product that created sport, because how can you capture an audience better than sport? You can't. People get into sports for, you know what I'm saying? So someone did their demographic homework and realized that there's an untapped market, to your point, where they saw the women do so well, and they've been watching and doing their analytics and saying, hey, I've got enough money, and let's put a league out here and see if we can grow a league and eyeballs. Now that you have social media, now that you have, it's not like the 80s and 90s where you had sports on CBS, NBC, or Channel 7. It's not that world anymore. You know what I mean? So now anyone all over the world can tap into their team, right? So the
yeah,
Olympics is almost, just to give you a perspective, the Olympics, it has been a way to create a global marketplace for sport.
yes,
That's what it is,
yes,
right? So who's the
yeah,
biggest fish in the market now? YouTube, because it's global. And you can
yeah,
bring, you can bring every sport 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Next week, we're gonna talk about, I'm gonna show you this article about the number of soccer stadiums throughout Europe. It's
oh,
unbelievable.
I can
These ain't no
imagine.
rinky-dink stadiums. These ain't no
Oh
rinky-dink
no,
stadiums. These things are show places. Like, I'm just going to see the stadium. I don't care if nobody in it. But this thing is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So you can only imagine what it's like when there's a game in there. I'm going to talk about it next week. You just remind me, my good friend. But that's all I got for you tonight, my friend. That's all I got for you tonight. Ooh, it's been a
yeah.
sports week and a half and a half.
Tell me about it.
So
Tell
wrap
me
up, my
about
friend.
it.
So wrap it up.
All I have to say is, on a side note, we had talked about Caitlin Clark last week, and I had mentioned that she had recorded her 14th double. It was her 14th triple double. I just wanted to clarify that. So
Wow.
yeah.
They're gonna have a problem. I don't know. I don't know if they have enough money to get her out of college. But we'll talk about that next week.
Yes, we
I
will.
really don't think they have enough money to get her. All right, for Smarterfan family, it's been a great night. We've got more stuff for you. So we'll talk more about the stadiums, more about Caitlin, and more about college football and the new world of college football, and who's going to be the top dog now. Smarterfan podcast, back at you next week. Be well and be safe, my friend.
All right.
Smarterfan.